guys, good evening. I want to get back into this. Last time we talked about jQuery and how to use jQuery in your application, and today we can talk about, or in this video we can talk about, we'll continue using jQuery, but I think I want to talk about modals and how they can really be of use for us here. I think this form right here can be a modal. I was thinking about it. I don't really quite like the way this looks. There's like a whole empty space here. The cards here look, I think they look fine. I think they look good. I don't quite like the form. So I think we could have an empty state where we don't have any jokes, and we'll say, hey, click here to add a joke, and then a modal might come up, and then we can then work on it. So the anatomy of a modal, or a Bootstrap modal. Let's look at that. Okay, bootstrap.com, CSS, and let's look to see how modals work. Actually, is it even on this one? Modal.js. Modal. So this is the anatomy of a modal. You have a modal div, you have a modal header, you have a modal body, and you have a modal footer. And then you have a modal, oh, it's not modal body, it's actually modal content. You have a close button, save, and some other buttons you can add here. And you can see a live demo here. This is basically what a modal looks like. And these are really useful for just anywhere in your application, really. So I'm going to copy this, come over here to our home controller, and instead of using a card like this and populating it, I think I'm going to erase this. And so basically I want to get rid of this entire card and then put something else there that says, you know, welcome, that kind of a thing. So here it'll say like jokes dashboard, and then maybe below it we can say, you know, something else. I don't know. We need a button to trigger the modal basically. So I'm going to put a modal right here, and this modal dialog actually doesn't have an ID, so we need to ID it. So close, get rid of these guys. Say ID, we'll say new joke modal, and then you can add a button and give it a btn class and default, and you can say data, is it data toggle modal, and then data, it's target, hashtag new joke total, and then we'll say create a joke or submit a joke. Submit a joke. So let's refresh this. We still have our old, we haven't got rid of it yet, but we do have submit a joke now in the upper right. Clicking on that pops our modal just like that. There's something wrong with it though. It looks like modal title and the X button is kind of off. Something's up there. Let's take a look. The button's here. In the header. Maybe we'll move it like this. Much better. So actually their example is wrong. That's weird. There we go. So that looks much better. So now let's populate this with our joke form. It's actually pretty easy to do because we can just take our ID, cut that, and come up to our modal, and where it says modal body, we could paste that just like this. And then we'll cut our progress bar, which is nice to have. Paste it here. And then we do need to somehow deal with these two things, so there's the close button and the submit button, because our modal footer has it. So maybe it would be better to cut this and put it into the entire body, and then move this out completely. You're probably confused right now. I know I would be. Instead, oh, did I just move the whole content down? Yeah, I think it's okay. Joke, close, modal body. I don't know if this will actually work, but we can try it. Modal footer and submit button. Cut and paste. Save will be submit. Let me just check this really fast. We're doing some fancy work here. It's good. The submit doesn't quite work here, so I'm going to erase this. So what I did is I actually took the modal. I honestly think we can also move this out and put it in here in the body. And then cut this. No, not in the body. It has to be above the body. Yeah, that's fine here. Cut this. It really isn't a problem, actually. Maybe it is. Cut body ends here. Yeah, it really isn't a problem. Okay, so this is the modal header, modal body, and modal footer. I placed that into the create joke blade template file fully. So the whole thing will get rendered on load. And then in the home page, I kept the shell of the modal and placed basically a progress bar inside of it, and then I populate the inside modal content of the modal, not the shell, the inside of it, asynchronously. Then I remove this original item, so it looks much cleaner now. Look, just like that. So come over here, refresh, click this bad boy, pops up, Vlad's joke, and number 1, save, and Vlad joke is okay, and it appeared right below, but it didn't clear our items. Actually, we can just close it. So the advantage of using a modal is we can actually destroy the modal on completion. We currently have a way to destroy it with dismiss, I think it's called. For example, right here, data model dismiss, do the same way. I think we could even destroy it, but basically it'll submit it, but it'll also destroy it or dismiss it. And the reason why it's considered a dismissal is, let's say I put something like this and like this, and I say save, it dismisses it, but if I open it, even though it's there, on every click, actually no, yeah, it comes right back, but we can make it on every click it shows something new. But it does bring it back. So although dismiss is nice, it doesn't fully cover what we needed to do. We still need to cleanse it, and it's actually not that hard because we pull the title and we place it into a variable. So we say the joke title and the joke description, and we place those into variables. Now that we have that, we can, and we've already serialized it, we can just take this and make this into a blank item, so like that. This in jQuery will set the value to nothing there. And you could do that before you add it to the card. So let's refresh this. So if I click here, I go like that, like this, save, I click here. Actually, it didn't quite work. Did it not submit? Save. Oh, that's interesting. So dismiss actually, yeah, it actually kills the submission process altogether. So I don't think we can use that or dismiss it. Dismiss happens before submission of the entire form. So that's why it's preempting it. Now it works. There you go. See how it kind of cleared it out and showed up here. So now you have 12. This submit. Maybe here we can say we still need to put like a message. Let's do that. I'd really feel much more comfortable if we put an alert here. Alert. Is it an alert? Div class alert alert info. And then here, let's say submitted. Joke created or submitted. Successfully check your dashboard for status. Let's actually look what this looks like. So that's what it would look like once it submits. I don't quite like where it's at. It's way up there. Maybe we could put it inside the body like that. Fresh. So I just moved the alert inside the body, and that looks really good. So by default, you can actually, display none. You can say style display none, and it won't show. And then you can ID it. You can say, actually, you don't really have to. You can just say joke.alert. I think we don't really need ID. So after adding the joke, we can say. Well, I guess it would be this. Nah, it's okay. This dot alert dot fade in slow. Another jQuery function. So we identify the exact item alert fade in slow. So we say in the create joke form, locate the alert class and fade it in slowly, because right now it's basically hidden. Style display is none. So basically you're saying when the user comes, find this, and make this visible. Refresh it and submit a joke. Hi, submit. Boom, joke submitted successfully, and this thing is now cleared. Now let's say we wanted to toggle this off after a couple of seconds, right? So JavaScript has a timeout. So it's JavaScript timeout. And you can basically turn it on. You can basically appear the alert, and then a couple of seconds later you can hide it. Does that make sense? So let's do that. Right now we'll fade it in, and then we'll set a timeout for about 3 seconds. And then we'll fade it out. Fade out. Slow. It's a nice, unobtrusive way of showing that person, like, yes, I submitted a joke, and joke submitted successfully. Check your dashboard for status. Boom, it's gone. And now it lets them continue and maybe add a couple of more jokes, or they can just click away and they can go look. And here's the one we just added successfully. So that looks much better. And what would happen if there isn't any jokes right now by the end user? They haven't created any. What does the dashboard look like? As a developer, you have to kind of think about, what does it look like when they first log in? So I'm going to clear, and we'll refresh the page. So this is what it looks like when there isn't any jokes at all. And when somebody signs up for your application, they come here and they see like, hey, what am I supposed to do? Is like a blank application. It looks bad, right? So we can do in the future we can add some cool things like best joke, best awarded, this and that. But you have to kind of think about what do other sites do? Like, do they have an activity feed? If this is a dashboard where you can just create jokes, I think the first thing you want them to do is basically say, hey, click here to create your first joke, none found. We can start with that. It's better than a completely empty state. Yeah, we have a lot of plans that we can do a lot, but we don't have those designs and we don't have those ideas yet. So in the process of doing so, um, we're going to put something else here. So we'll say, like, if in the jokes list, we'll say if count, actually pound count. That means basically there just isn't that much. There isn't anything. It's 0. And if here you can say, you can do all kinds of notices here. You can say, we can do an alert again. Div class alert info, and then here you could say no jokes not created yet. Jokes not created yet. Click here to add one. And then maybe we can toggle the same modal. So here we can say a anchor text href. You don't have to do that. You can do script void. Is it dot void? What is it? I don't know. There you go. So we'll basically leverage the same item that we have. The same item that we have here, the button, we'll leverage it here, but we'll place it into a little notice right here. So when you first come in here, it says, hey, joke's not created yet. Click here to add one. Or you can do something better. You can say like, welcome. We are happy to see you here. Let's submit your first joke. Yeah, looks much better, right? So this is when they first come here, at least they have something. They can submit a joke from there, or they can click here and post it. Now they say, okay, hi, how are you? Doing good, save, and it shows up right here. Joke submitted successfully. Now that they've submitted it, they have a first joke. We probably don't need this anymore. Although this will disappear on refresh, but we probably can hide this. So we can go jokes list .alert again and hide this like this. And say jokes list .alert .fade out slow. So the same basic concept, except we're going to fade it out. The only problem is this actually might not exist. So instead of basically showing the entire alert or not showing it, we can also display hide it or not display hide it. So here I could say, if it's there, if we have jokes, then we'll say style display none. So we won't show it. And if so basically we always show an alert regardless, but if we have jokes, we hide it. If we don't have jokes, we don't hide it. That way the JavaScript won't fail on load. So there you go. Let's actually test it now. Let's remove this joke that we just added. Right click, delete, say OK. Come back here, refresh. We have the notice. We click here. We'll add a joke, save, and it says good, and now it's going to hide itself, and that other thing hid itself. So basically, we're doing cleanup and maintenance as we go. And then if you refresh this page, it appears, and that doesn't show up at all. Now, one thing I noticed is when I'm clicking here is who this Valerie Luna is. I want to change this name to the user that's logged in to the system, which is Bob. That's my name. If you go to users, you can see my name is Bob. So it should say Bob up there. So how do we get up there to make that change? I promised we'd be making changes to the theme as we go. So you go to Resources, Layout, Theme, and then you scroll to, actually this is interesting too, copyright your website 2019. You can erase 2019 date and put year here. And then instead of your website, you can put config app.name. And config app.name basically means go to your config file, go to app, and find name, and it'll pull the name of your application. So that's one thing we did. The next thing is actually config app.name is a good one. We'll copy this. Scroll up to where it says Valerie Luna, and here you can just get auth user name like that, and then scroll up further up, see if there's anything else. Anybody else? There's a bunch of static HTML content that we'll address soon, but I'm going to go all the way up to the top, make sure we got everything here. Here, instead of saying sbadmin2, I'm going to put app.name, and I don't think we need 2 here, but we can say 1 or v1. And then dashboard's good, components, cards. We can actually, while we're here, we can clean up some of these menu items. I think we'll tackle that later. Keep scrolling down. I think I'm going to look for Val. Looks like I erased it. Save. Come back over here. When I refresh, this should change the name. That name should change right there as well. And then it says, instead of here, now it says Jokes Inventory 2019. It says Bob there, and it's Jokes Inventory there. But Jokes Inventory, that's kind of a weird name. Maybe we should come down to our .environment file and just change this to jokes. Save. And then anytime you save an environment file, you should restart your server, and then it will kick you out. You'll have to log back in. Here we'll type in bob@me.com, log in, and now we should see jokes, v1, jokes down here. So this is now using an environmental variable. It says jokes dashboard. We can actually even, on the home controller, where we have it saying jokes or joke dashboard, we can replace that with the config app name as well. And yeah, so looks very clean. I think we're doing good so far. You guys are listening really well. Let me know if you guys have any questions or what you guys want me to tackle next in the comments below, and subscribe. Let me know. Thanks.